I recently faced my own worst nightmare. Imagine waking up to find your HOA slapped a $30,000 lien on your townhouse for so-called violations at a cabin 2 counties away, and when you demand an explanation, all you get is this smug phrase: compliance follows the owner. The only thing that followed me that night was my security footage landing on the sheriff's desk. And trust me, it took a lot to get there, and a hell of a lot more to get it off my house. You want to know how the war with my HOA went nuclear? Let me back up a second and show you how petty people with a little power and a lot of bad ideas almost took everything from me. Until, well, you know how the saying goes: don't mess with a software guy's peace and quiet. Picture this: cold, stale air in a courthouse that's got more tension than an overclocked server. I'm squeezed into a dress shirt that feels like a straitjacket, wishing I could trade it for my faded coating tee. Next to me, my lawyer Clive is a stone, sharp suit, expression unreadable, the kind of guy who seems like he was born at the plaintiff's table. Across from us, there they sit: Karen, Harold, and Roger, the holy trinity of my HOA board, or as I called them in my head, the triumvirate of petty tyrants. Karen, the president, with a chin so high you'd think she was presiding over the UN instead of a civil hearing. Harold, sweating through his collar, tugging his tie like it's strangling him. And Roger, the former gym teacher, his shirt buttons straining, the kind of enforcer who probably still dreams about his whistle. They all look like they'd rather be anywhere else. Except, of course, for Karen, who's locked in full power stance. Between us and the judge, Old Man Evans, who's got the patience of a python and the stare of a hawk, there are two big maps on easels. Clive uses this pointer, real old school, to break down the situation. Your Honor, here's Olio Estates, Williamson County. That's where my client lives, pays his dues, follows the rules. Then the second map. This, Your Honor, is a 10-acre private property in Hickman County, a whole 75 miles and 2 county lines away, where my client built a cabin, his sanctuary. The implication is crystal clear. There's no overlap. No way in the world their HOA has any say out there. But Karen and her crew? They'd gotten it in their heads that their authority stretched as far as their egos. Clive's voice is calm, but you can feel the steel. The Olio Estates board decided they could regulate a property they've never governed, in a county they've never set foot in. They used HOA funds to surveil, harass, and finally slap a $30,000 fine for so-called violations outside their reach. Then, using a loophole, they attached that fine as a lien to my client's home in Williamson County. He shuts his binder with a bang. It's the sound of an incoming storm. Evans leans forward, icy-eyed. Let me see if I understand this. You find a man for the color of his mailbox and the presence of a compost pile on land you don't own, in a county you don't govern? Karen tries to talk bylaws, but the judge just cuts her off. Your authority ends at the sign that says, now leaving Olio Estates. It does not have wheels. That's when I start to think, maybe, just maybe, the universe has my back today. We get a recess to mark exhibits, and in the hallway, Karen storms up, red blouse blazing. You think a creak saves you? She spits. We can audit you into dust. Roger tries to loom, but Clive slides in like a bouncer. Miss Kennedy, another syllable, and you'll be auditioning for a contempt hearing. Roger bumps the easel, the $30,000 placard falls, and a couple spectators snort. For the first time, I feel a programmer's thrill, like finally finding the bug that's crashed your code for weeks. These people, who made my life hell, suddenly look very small. And you know, it didn't even start with my cabin. It started with silence. That's all I wanted. I bought that cabin for quiet, somewhere my grandpa taught me to hunt. No Wi-Fi, just trees and wood stove. Back at Olio Estates, I played by the rules. But when Karen got reelected, suddenly the rulebook became a weapon. I got letter after letter. First a warning about a non-existent shed, then threats of $50 a day fines, all supposedly about a structure that didn't exist. My neighbor Sarah, a nurse, no nonsense, warned me. Karen's trying to prove something. Freddie, the neighborhood's nervous Nellie, whispered about audits and software combing through public records. My alarm bells went off. These people had pulled my deeds, found my Hickman County property, and decided my life was their business. The third letter had a grainy photo of a delivery truck, lumber being dropped at my cabin. They'd found it on social media and cited it as proof of my noncompliance. That's when I realized this wasn't just overzealousness, it was obsession. Fines stacked up, certified mail arrived. I could almost hear my grandpa's voice. Finish it. I hired Clive, the only lawyer recommended with the phrase, "He doesn't fight HOAs, he dismantles them." But these people weren't logical. They believed the power to file a lien made them right. A lien clouds your title. You can't sell, you can't refinance, it's a deadweight anchor. Clive told me, say nothing, let them think they're winning. Meanwhile, I set trail cams at the cabin. For a while, it was just raccoons and a very determined owl, but then, middle of the night, my phone buzzes. Grainy footage of a man in dark clothes measuring my mailbox, taking pictures of my compost, creeping around with a flashlight. Not a board member, a hired gun. That's when things shifted. I sent the footage to the Hickman County Sheriff's Office. Deputy Miller, with a Tennessee drawl and a sharp mind, traced the guy in minutes. Bert Higgins, private investigator, hired by, who else? The HOA, paid with our dues. She gave me a choice. Press charges, or use this as leverage. You know what I chose? We called Bert in. In the sheriff's office, Clive went full velvet glove, iron fist. My client could ruin your career, or you can give us everything. Every email, every text, every invoice. Bert caved, fast, forwarding us all the proof. Emails where Karen demanded irrefutable proof of noncompliance. Invoices signed by Harold and another board member, Linda Calloway. Now here's the twist. Linda, the assistant treasurer, had a reputation for honesty, a real stickler. We reached out, careful not to intimidate, and she met me at a diner. "I'm here for the neighborhood," she whispered, not the board. She handed over a thumb drive with every document, motel bills for the PI, receipts for a $7,000 drone, even the order for a fake police car decal. Roger had been driving around in a used Crown Vic, playing cop on weekends. They bought the car, the light bar, everything, out of the reserve fund meant for clubhouse repairs. That night, I caught Roger and Harold red-handed, flying the drone over my cabin, parked in the faux patrol car. Got it all on camera. Sent it straight to Deputy Miller. It was game over, and the next day, Clive and I pored over Linda's files. There was enough evidence for fraud, embezzlement, you name it. But here's the thing about bullies. They hate public humiliation. We needed a spectacle. Sarah helped me start a rumor about a deer-skinning shed at my cabin. Freddie, terrified of the HOA, spread it like wildfire. Karen and the boys couldn't resist. They rolled up to my cabin, ready to catch me breaking their precious rules, only to be greeted by the sheriff, Deputy Miller, and a TV crew waiting at the gate. On camera, in front of the world, the sheriff tells them, "You have no power here." Karen's face just drained. Her empire evaporated. Her authority vaporized in the country air. The story went viral. My neighbors were furious. Sarah led a recall petition, got double the signatures needed in a single afternoon. At the next meeting, the community voted the entire board out. Karen, Harold, Roger, all gone. The clubhouse crowd cheered. The fake cop car got a ticket for illegal parking, and even the toddlers joined in with siren noises. The sense of release was electric, but my problem wasn't quite over. The $30,000 lien still haunted my title. Clive filed for an emergency injunction, presenting everything. Whistleblower files, PI confession, viral video. Judge Evans didn't need much convincing. "This isn't just overreach," he said. "It's malicious and corrupt." He froze the lien, demanded a full audit of the HOA, and referred the case to the DA. The audit was brutal, years of misuse, all exposed to the community. By the next month, the board's support base had vanished, and the DA pressed charges for wire fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. At the final court hearing, Clive walked the judge through it all. The original deed search, the fake fines, the PI's night mission, the drone, the fake patrol car, Linda's files, everything. The defense tried to claim the board just wanted to protect the community. Judge Evans shut them down cold. "Are you saying if Mr. Harrow owned a boat in Florida, your rules would still apply?" The judge voided the lien, ordered Karen, Harold, and Roger to personally reimburse the HOA for every cent, and the DA's office filed criminal charges. The room erupted in applause, not for me, but for justice, for a neighborhood taking back its soul. 6 months later, the trio pled guilty, paid their fines, lost their homes, and their place in the neighborhood. Sarah's new board made the rules clear, set term limits, and built a real community. No more fear, no more abuse. Now, I sit on a flat rock at Piney Creek, boots off, water cold, watching the sunfish flash under the ripples, thinking about bugs and patches and the peace you get when you finally ship the fix. The fight's over, at least for now. But tell me, what would you have done? Do you think a neighborhood can ever really protect itself from the next bully who comes along? Or is the system always stacked in favor of the loudest, meanest voice? Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk about justice, power, and where you draw your line.